Sinners is written and directed by Ryan Coogler and stars Michael B. Jordan, Hailee Steinfeld amongst others, and is the filmmaker's first foray into the horror genre. So twin brothers, both played by Michael B. Jordan, are trying to leave their troubled lives behind, returning to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is Ryan Coogler has not made a bad film. He's an incredibly talented filmmaker. You don't need me to tell you that he's made such incredible works already. He somehow made probably my favorite Rocky movie, even though it was the 7th film in that franchise, achieved great success in the MCU, and also made smaller personal dramas like Fruitvale Station. But Sinners is unique in that it is the first film he has ever made that is not based off of a true story or some IP. This is just written and directed by him, putting his own sweat, blood and tears and history into this text. And from the first 10 minutes of the movie I knew that I was watching a film that I was really glad I was in the theater to see, and I would implore all of you to make sure you see this movie on the biggest screen possible, because this movie puts its money on the screen. This is apparently about 90 million Australian dollars budget, and it shows this movie is filled from top to bottom with incredible production value, amazing attention to detail for the period it's set in, which is Mississippi, 1932, the costumes, the sets, the vehicles, all the props. This is a film that respects that budget. Every frame is filled with background actors. It just feels like a living, breathtaking world. You don't often get that as much anymore, especially with films like this, because this, like I said, it's not an IP, it's not a sequel. This is a big film made by a great filmmaker that has a title that doesn't immediately tell its audience what it's about, that has a genre element that is hidden from you for a large portion of the movie. This film is a risk, and Warner Brothers is taking that risk with Ryan Coogler, and I really hope it pays off, because this is the type of film that I want to see on the big screen. I obviously love genre films, and this definitely has genre elements, but the human emotion that is given to each of these characters and the amount of time that we spend with them to really know who they are and know the struggles they've gone through in life, and the way this world is built out, and the suggestions that it has about not just the past but the future, and the way it explores music and how it's interwoven throughout many of these characters' lives. It's a lot, and a lesser filmmaker would probably struggle with those tonal shifts, but Ryan Coogler handles them with grace. I stayed away from trailers for the film. I knew only that it was about a specific type of entity, so if you don't know that I'm going to talk about that, that's your warning. But obviously there won't be any real spoilers if you've seen the trailer or are aware of what the film is actually about. You'll be fine here. It's eventually revealed that this world has vampires in it, and when a bunch of vampires encircle that bar later that night, it kinda becomes a From Dusk Till Dawn situation, which was clearly something that I can imagine inspired Coogler, because this film takes a large chunk of what is essentially the first half of the movie to establish a living, breathtaking world where people are just kind of living, and the genre element is there, but it's certainly not the focus. When it becomes the focus, there's quite a bit of blood and guts and great practical effects, so I can only assume that something like From Dusk Till Dawn was on Coogler's mind when he was making the film, at least from a structure standpoint. Where this film really shines for me is in its performances. Michael B. Jordan in particular is absolutely magnetic. He's such a phenomenal actor, and despite really giving great performances for a very long time, he has yet to somehow find that Oppenheimer role that's going to get him the Oscar, even though I actually think he was worthy of it in Creed. He's absolutely incredible in Creed, and he's amazing here playing a dual role. Both of these brothers have similar goals, but they are completely different, and he is so good in this movie. And there was one scene in this film that was honestly jaw-dropping, not just from a technical perspective because it is a war, but also from a spiritual perspective, to be honest, because it's essentially spanning history's long encounters with different kinds of music, and it was really mind-blowing to see. I think the only thing about the film that I could have used a little more clarity on was the main villain, because there's different types of vampires in the movie. There's people who are definitely just in it for the blood, but there is a villain played by Jack Whittle who's like the main vampire, and his motivation and exactly what he wanted was mostly communicated, but I think I would have liked just a little more. I mean, that's about it. This movie is genuinely awesome. It is so much fun when there's blood and guts, but it leaves you with a lot of things to think about. It 100 is interested in the exploration of its characters on a very deep level, but it's more than that. For instance, a character that you could almost view as the main protagonist is essentially dealing with the fact that his preacher father doesn't want him to play music, and he views that as the devil's work, and he's having to contend with the fact that his dad would rather just have him become a preacher one day than his amazing talent that he has and then giving that to the world. Like I said, the film's characters are deep and emotionally satisfying. When it does want to have a lot of blood and guts and fun, it sure is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this movie. I think if you want to support a film this month in theaters, go see this one. It is definitely worth the ticket, and I want to see more auteurs like Ryan Coogler given the chance to make films of this size that are as personal as this one is. So guys, thank you so much as always for watching.